I know that your sister listens to the podcast, Ben.
Yes, this is true. I don't know. So I know that for a while she was like, she listened every single week. I don't know if she still listens every single week, but I knew that because she would like text me about stuff about it and stuff. But wow, that was some great. I just said a sentence where I think a third of the words were the word stuff. Man. Yeah.
Double stuff sentence.
I'm a little tired right now, and it's gonna make for some fun times for this podcast probably. But yeah, I know she would text me about the podcast pretty frequently early on. I know that she definitely still listens because she when I think that at the wedding was the first time that you two had actually like met in person, at least in a while, if you had ever before.
We had met before.
You had met before. I couldn't remember if you'd ever met her. I know she'd met some of my friends at, just random times, but I don't know if you had been one of them. But she knew you because of the podcast. And she was like, "Oh, you're that Marcus,"
Yeah, that was the one weird thing, because you got married, and I went down for the wedding, and so I got to meet, like, a lot of your family, and I didn't know how, like, especially, like, cousins and things, I wasn't sure how close you were with, all the different cousins and things, and whether they would know you did a podcast, and if they did a podcast, if they had,
Heard
I'm like, hey,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm Ben's friend from college, but I always felt like I needed, like, a little more context. So I was like, depending, I was like, sometimes I was like, yeah, we do the podcast together. And they're like, podcast? And I'm like,
Ben does a podcast?
Well, okay.
It's like, yeah, we do a podcast. Okay, now this is awkward, because I don't know if Ben wanted everyone to know that.
I mean, you kept it pretty secret up to the point where you, mentioned it in your speech you gave.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had to.
Well, you had to.
It felt, I debated back and forth whether I wanted to do it, but it was like, it felt weird not to have it in there.
Right. To be fair, I put the fact that we do a podcast together, and there were like little groomsmen bio things on the website. So that was in there. So like, in theory, everyone should have already known it, but clearly
should have done their homework. They should have known.
Read the website.
Either way, the jig is up.
Yeah. They all know now.
But I think your dad had mentioned he listened to a few too. He said he recognized my laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I think both of my parents listened to the first episode, and their one comment was that Marcus talks a lot.
This is true.
Oh man, I mean it's an accurate statement.
There was a great moment after the wedding where my mother-in-law mentioned that she wanted to listen to the podcast, and I was like, "Oh man, I don't know if I want that to be a thing you do."
Ben, I'll tell you this: the podcast is good. Like, we don't like.
I
you can
know.
not feel bad about people listening in.
But there are certain people that it's not their thing. Like, I know it's definitely not my parents' thing.
Look, nothing will be more awkward as far as people listening to me than when I guested on Alex's podcast, the My Wax Museum.
Yeah.
And so that podcast is, I really like it. It's basically,
He might be listening right now.
yeah, he's one of our patrons, which is cool. So basically the way it is that the idea was he felt like he didn't listen to people like in his day-to-day life, and wanted to kind of try and correct that. So the podcast is basically him asking you, like, hey, how did you kind of get where you are, and letting the guests do most of the talking, which is perfect for me because I talk a lot, as you said. And so I went on there, and it got like very like introspective because you're talking about your own life and how you got where you are, and so you kind of like get very reflective, and it's very personal. So in the spirit of good nature, cross promoting, I posted on my Facebook and stuff that I did it, and weirdly, like, my extended family all listened to the episode. So it was like my aunt listened to it first, and then went to like my other extended family. Was like, you have to listen to Marcus's episode on this thing. It's amazing. And I was like, okay. And so I came home with like all my extended family, who I see like a couple times a year, but like you're not super, super close. Like,
Right. Just for like holidays and stuff.
yeah, it's the kind of personal where I would do it like, close family, yes. Strangers, yes, but the people the in between is for some reason strange. And so that one was like, I was like, oh boy, what did I even say? Because that was very much a stream of consciousness type deal.
That was a preview clip from our Patreon exclusive behind the scenes episode. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.